I know we've been together before, but some of y'all may not know me, so just fill you in. My name's B.B. Banks. I am the owner, operator, and founder of B.B. Banks Automotive Parts and Live Bait. We have stores throughout the country and a few in other countries. We've been continuously expanding. I think we're up to about 245 stores throughout nationwide, and like I said, 3 or 4 in Europe, one in Africa now. So things have gone pretty well for old BB, I got to tell you. For a kid who grew up in Lizard Lick, North Carolina, you know, you just wouldn't expect it. But things have done good. And, you know, I got to tell you, I started out small. My daddy had a pretty big farm, and he gave me startup money to be able to afford my first shop. And things really did take off. and you know, I actually wrote a book about it a while back, and I talk about the 5 F's of wealth. And it is good fortune. You got to have luck in there. It's faith. Faith in God's important, y'all. Remember that. And let's see. Then there's fortitude, hard work, fun. You got to remember to have fun. Trust me, old BB knows how to have a good time. Let me tell you. And then there's no family. No family is key to wealth. I felt like because, well, a couple reasons. One, if you don't have no kids, you don't have to spend money on kids. And if you don't have no wife, you don't get a divorce to give her half of it. So that's the 5 F's of wealth. And so things went pretty good. And I ended up with, honestly, I think somebody said, I read in the paper somewhere that my few $1 billion, I don't know, it just, whatever, but I just know that I'm able to buy whatever it is that I want. Muscle cars, I got me a private jet with a pilot that comes with it, because, I mean, old BB can't fly a plane. I got a whole fleet of boats, you know, and a few houses here and there, you know, in case I'm out and about. If I don't want to, like, rent someplace, I'll just buy it, you know, just make an investment of it, and, you know, so I can throw a party whenever I get to town. You know how it is. That's how it is. So, anyway, I came today to tell y'all about sort of a life change, a time that I kind of had to look in the mirror at old BB and realize that I don't think I was doing things exactly the way God wanted me to. You know, I said that one of the 5 F's of wealth is faith. And I've been going to church pretty much every week since I was just knee-high to a grasshopper. I mean, that's just the way I was raised. But you know, I think people thought because I've got all of this money and all this stuff that when that plate rolled around, that old BB was doing his part. But I wasn't. I think I'd $20 here, $20 there, you know. And I understand for some folks that's a lot of money, but, you know, for somebody that's got a few billion in the bank, that's basically like picking up a penny off the floor, if you know what I mean. Well, one time they made this announcement in church about a mission trip to Africa, Tanzania. And I thought, you know what? That'd be a great idea, because it is on my bucket list to go to every single continent in this whole world. Every single one. And I had never been to Africa, so I thought, you know what? Heck, I'm going to go with them. Well, going with them, I didn't really go with them because, you know, they were flying coach, and BB don't fly coach. You know, I took my own private jet over there. And I met them in Tanzania, and I got off the plane, and I was a little taken back by the things that I saw. Those people don't have nothing. I mean, the roads were pretty much I mean, some of them are paved, but I don't know if you can call it that. You know, they didn't have much food. The water wasn't fit to drink. You know, they didn't have a lot of clothes. Honestly, it was just pretty sad. It really hit me hard that there were people in this world living like that. And, you know, I felt really fortunate and blessed, you know, not only what I have, but the fact that I live in the United States where we don't have people living like that. You know, people here have stuff. And so, you know, I felt really good about where we were. But, you know, on my way out of town, I felt so bad, I wrote them a $1,000 check. $1,000. That's all. And again, I know to some of y'all, $1,000 is a lot of money, but that's like $1 to me, to be honest with you. I ain't trying to brag, but it's just the truth. But I gave them $1,000. Man, you'd have thought that I had given them $1 billion, because, I mean, they lit up. I don't think anybody ever gave them just $1,000. But I felt like they needed it, and I had it, so I gave the cash, and got on my plane, and I went on home. And when I got there, my publicist, Billy Ray, he told me that my old principal, Mr. James, over there at the East Wake High School right outside of Lizard Lick, had invited me to come and speak to the students there about my life and what had been going on. You know, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? These people, these kids, they need to know that growing up in Lizard Lick doesn't have to mean that they are stuck there forever. That people can come up out of there and make something of their lives. And so that's what I did. I got up, and I went to that East Wake High School and got up to speak. I dressed up just like I am here now, and I started telling them. I told them about the 5 F's of wealth, and told them about what life was like growing up for me, and I told them about how I built my business and things like that, and how blessed I am. You know, how blessed I am and how blessed God has made me throughout my life. Well, I was done saying all I needed to say, and then there's this young boy. I guess he was a sophomore. His name was Micah, and he came up and he said, I'll never forget. He said, "Mr. Banks," and I said, "Yeah," and he said, "My mama works in your store," and I said, "Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. You know, I have a few employees. I had never met her, but." Said she's worked there for 10 years. Very nice. You know, I like to hear somebody that wants to stick around. And he said, you talked about how blessed you were. Well, we can't really afford to eat without, you know, to buy food without help from the government. Does that mean we're not blessed? My friends, I didn't know what to say. I had no idea how I was supposed to respond to that, and I kind of stammered and stuttered, and thankfully old Mr. James gets up and says, "Okay, well, it's time to go back to class now," and he dismissed everybody, and I thanked him, and you know, I went on, but that kind of stuck with me. So that night I was out sitting by the lake, you know, bourbon in one hand, and then I saw over there the Bible, so I had it in the other hand, and I started flipping through it. And I came upon a couple stories about rich people. And the first one, I saw the big title, "A Rich Fool." I thought, well, you know, I'm kind of feeling like a rich fool right now. And so I read it, and it talked about this guy who had all this stuff, and he kept on building bigger and bigger barns, I guess, big old storage units to keep all his stuff in. And when he finally finished, he said, you know, he said to himself, he said, "Self, I'm just going to sit back, eat, drink, and be merry." And then God said to him, "You fool." And that very night he died. and he didn't take any of it with him. And what good did it do anybody? He had all that stuff, all that money, and it did nobody any good. I got thinking about that. Wondered what good my money would do anybody if I died. And then I kept on reading. And I came across this other one, Rich Man and Lazarus. I always thought Lazarus was just that guy that Jesus rose up from the dead. But there was another story about another Lazarus, a guy with the same name. This one I think was another one of them parable things. But apparently, Lazarus was this really, really rich man, and this guy, this really, really rich man had this guy Lazarus that used to camp out in his front doorstep. And he was nasty, and his dogs would come and lick his sores, and he didn't have any food to eat or nothing. And the rich man just let him be. Well, they both died. And when the rich man died, he said, "Hey, where's Lazarus?" And he goes, "Oh, he's on the other side of that there cavern, and that cavern on the other side. You can't talk to him." Well, I want to, because, the rich man's like, "Well, I'm burning in agony here, and what's he doing? Can he just give me some water?" He goes, No. He's in heaven now, and, he can't come to you. And so the rich man was like, "Well, can I at least go back and tell my brothers that they need to, straighten up and live right and take care of poor people?" And he said, "No, you can't." And then I kind of realized, something. I'm surrounded by poor people all the time, and I don't do anything for them. But I wanted to dig a little deeper. Any of y'all ever seen Undercover Boss? Where some of them big CEO muckety-mucks, they dress up in costumes and go and work at their own places? Well, I did that, although it wasn't on TV. I dyed my hair brown or blonde, I guess. Put on a big nose. I got some makeup people to do it. They couldn't tell who I was, and I went and worked in one of my places for a week. Folks, I'm embarrassed. I got some really great workers at old Auto Parts and Live Bait, and they were kind and helpful. One of them, Jimmy, he actually took me to his house. It wasn't much of a house. It's kind of falling apart in places and stuff. But he and his wife, they fixed me this nice meal. And I know that they didn't have a lot to spare, but they shared it with me. And I had all this, and I wasn't sharing it with anybody. Well, that got to me. Hit me right here. So that Sunday, I asked the preacher if I could say something, because I had a confession to make. And I stood up there in front of that church, and I told him, I said, that there offering plate goes around. I don't do my part. And you can kind of see the look on people's face, because I think they kind of thought that I did. And I said, from now on, I'm going to do my part. And I got with my bookkeeper, and we changed the pay of my people. And I promise you, there ain't nobody that works for me now that needs help from anybody. Because the people that you pay ought to be taken care of. But the one that gives it all ought to get his due too. And so I started giving my part. And to my church, to Tanzania, I actually opened up a foundation, I'm kind of proud of this, to get them clean water over there. Because everybody deserves to have a good glass of water, don't you think? And I'm going to be honest with you. It feels good. You hear that phrase, give until it hurts. Well, I don't know how, I think I was giving till it hurt before. Now, I give until it feels good. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or how much you're giving. I can afford to give a lot more than a lot of people. And I'm proud to say that I do that now. and I take care of the people in my lives. And now I actually have 6 F's. I added one and one kind of changed. You got good fortune. Like I said, good luck's a big part of it. And then you got fortitude. You still got to work hard. Faith. That's even bigger now. Fun. You got to have fun. Family. Turns out there was somebody for old BB out there that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And actually she's expecting her later this year. I am going to have that family after all. And you know what? I don't care if it costs me a little bit of money. It's worth it. And lastly, the one I added was fruitfulness. Because you see, God has given me a lot. And not just stuff. He's given me these 2 hands, this brain, this mouth, these eyes to be able to work with. And to be able to do something to make this world a better place, to spread the gospel message so that everybody has enough. And since God's blessed me with that, I figure it's good for me to return some. So that's what I do. And I can't be happier. How about y'all pray with me? Gracious God, thank you for all that you give to us. Help us to realize the gifts that we've been given. Help us to give back or give to you what has been given to us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank y'all for